you, Neil, so much for that. And welcome back, both you and Sarah Jane. How are you both?
You're very welcome.
You know, I was really amazed, Sarah, when Neil explained the bit about the chiasm. I had heard a little bit about that because I love studying. And it's kind of like chi is a Hebrew letter, isn't it?
Yes.
And so it's an X. And so the point in the middle of this information that comes in and then goes back out in a mirror image actually means the bit in the middle is the most important. And today's study in Revelation 14 is the most important part of the whole of Revelation.
That's where it all works towards that point.
Isn't it amazing?
It is.
So what's this bit, Sarah? We've got this angel, loud voice, shouting away, fear God and give glory to him. I mean, why do you fear a God of love? I mean, it's a wee bit confusing.
Yeah, and it sounds a bit frightening too. To have to be in fear of someone usually means that you're quite scared. But we'll have a look at the Bible and see what it says. If we look in Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So it's a starting point where we gain knowledge, and that influences our attitudes and behaviours and values and beliefs. Okay. And it also says in Proverbs 8:13 that to fear the Lord is to hate evil. So it's to enjoy doing good. You don't want to go near all the bad stuff.
No. Well, yes, that's a sensible explanation. But what about this bit about his judgment has come? I mean, is that seriously good news?
Well, judgment is. Funnily enough, judgment is. It's fantastic news. I mean, the judgment is in favour of God's people. So, you know, if you think of having been through all sorts of garbage and stuff, yes, here is judgment in favour of God's people. In fact, Jacques Ducan, writing The Secrets of Revelation, actually has this to say. And I just want to read a small little excerpt from his book, because I think it's actually really good. He says here, talking about this most shocking passage that we're looking at here, which many men like Martin Luther just couldn't get a handle on because there's some pretty graphic bits in there. He said, but look, such hyperbolic language is the natural feature of the men and the women of the ancient world. And then he said this, the sentimental theorists of love who ignore the rigour and requirements of justice are all for the most part well-to-do altruists who have never tasted the humiliation of oppression or the bitterness of injustice. Love without justice is not true love, he says. This is why the Bible associates the two key things, justice with grace. And, you know, we need to have both of those. And here in the book of Revelation, in some would say in a really graphic way, but God brings those two together. He's saying, hey, there is a day of justice when wrongs will be righted and when those who have aligned themselves with the Lamb and with God will be set free, and those who haven't, who have actually hated God, will actually be punished for their choices they've made.
So then people who have suffered, say for example, crimes of robbery or rape and things that go on that really torment people, they can expect justice from God, because we don't always get justice in the land, do we?
No. In fact, you know, we can end up with some very dodgy things taking place in our legal system. Yes. You know, it's the best we've got, but it still ends up putting innocent people behind bars.
So then there's no need to fear a judgment.
Not at all. In fact, you know, in 2 Timothy 4:8, I mean, have you got that one there?
Yes, I've got it.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
It says, the prize that shows I have God's approval is now waiting for me. The Lord, who is a fair judge, will give me that prize on that day. He will give it not only to me, but also to everyone who is eagerly waiting for him to come again.
I love that. A fair judge, or a righteous judge, as other translations put it. So here is this picture of God who is an absolute fair judge. You know, not someone who you're going to be embarrassed about or ashamed of the decision or feel like you've been hard done by.
So it actually makes sense then to destroy evil and evil perpetrators. So is this what we're seeing at the end of the chapter? There's this wine press and the grapes are being harvested, and, well, this is a destruction. There's a destruction going on of evil, Babylon, people with the mark of the beast. So we looked at Daniel already before, but I think there's something you had from the Psalms and from 2 Peter.
Look, while we just think of that, you know, every single one of us wants justice.
Yes.
You know, even the kids in primary school, you know, they're the first to point out, you know, if a teacher's done something wrong or, you know, we're hardwired for justice.
Yeah.
We want it.
So the Psalms talk about that, don't they?
Yep. We want to get away with stuff when we can, but if someone's wronged us, we want justice.
Yeah.
And what the Bible speaks of is that God brings together those two things. He brings together justice and he brings it together with mercy.
Ah, okay.
And, we could read Psalm 85:10, which says, mercy and truth are met together, righteousness and peace have kissed each other. I love that thought.
Yes, I do too.
So they're coming together in the most intimate of ways. God is able to balance those, and they meet their balance in the cross with Christ.
And also, you had another psalm, didn't you? Just the judgment. It's a whole thing coming together. It's beautiful.
Psalm 89:14.
Yes.
Justice and judgment
Yes.
are the habitation of their throne.
Yeah.
Mercy and truth shall go before their face.
And then briefly, there's a short answer for me, isn't there, and for all our viewers today, because some people don't like this concept of fire and hell. Can you answer that?
Yeah, look. Two people can have the same experience of God, and yet their experience personally can be so different. A saint, to someone who's a worshipper and a believer of God, can actually have an experience where they see God as being an all-loving and all-powerful and wonderful God. Whereas someone who is wicked, someone who actually hates God, when they see the same thing, their experience is a consuming fire. And why is that? It's that way because they actually hate God, and so within them becomes this destructive force, which is they're being repulsed, and they want to run and hide from God, and yet they're experiencing the same thing.
So it is destruction, it's not torture forever.
It's not torture.
No.
God isn't into torturing. He actually just grants them their wish, which is to be separate from Him.
Right.